Today we're going to talk about Communis coin. All right, this is a coin that's given out to HEX stakers, especially long term. You have to have a stake over 180 days. And by the end of the video, stick around, I'm going to show you whether or not Communis is underpriced relative to what's called its fair value, we can say. But take that with a grain of salt, because I'm just talking about what the ideal value of Com coin could potentially be if it actually matched what it was supposed to do, which was supposed to be tokenized shares. Now, obviously, the market can disagree. The market can sell the price down of Communis coin to way under what it should be, as it currently is today. So I'm going to explain that there's a discrepancy in the price from what I see right now versus what the price is today. And there's a big gap into what the price could potentially be at, let's call it the ceiling price or the fair value price, arbitrage level, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just going to do the quick calculation to show you guys that. Now, first of all, if you don't know this already, Communis is basically just a tokenized share. So if you have a HEX stake, let's say you have one T share, right? One T share stands for 1 trillion shares. So your total mintable Com coin for that one T share stake would be 1 trillion Com coin. That's why the units in Com are so small, right? We go over to the price of Com and we see that it's got 10 zeros in front of it. That's because it's actually supposed to be tokenizing a share. So you're given the amount of Com for your stake in the form of the number of shares you have. And remember, we talk about T shares because it's a simpler, round number. But if you got 2 T shares, for example, you'd be able to mint on that stake 2 trillion shares total. And now when you make the stake, you can mint 25% of that Com right away. That's called your start bonus. You have to wait till the end of the stake to mint the remaining 75% of the Com coin. So, let's say I have a 1 T share stake. I can mint 250 billion of that today. And then I can mint the remaining 750 billion of that at the end of the stake. I have to wait. So it incentivizes long-term staking, and it incentivizes people to actually, hold the stake till the end and do it the right way and not emergency end stake. Now, if you want to mint this coin, if you've got some HEX stakes and you forgot about them and you haven't minted this Com coin already, use my referral link, getcomcoin.com. It's in the description below, getcomcoin.com. It doesn't take anything away from you. It literally does not do anything at all other than it just mints an extra 1% for myself. So if you want to use the referral link just because I told you about it and you haven't heard of it, use getcomcoin.com. You can go over to the dashboard right here. The dashboard, this is where you do all the minting. You connect your wallet here. So you can see right here, I'm entering the app. I've got Rabby Wallet. I'm just going to connect right here. Click connect wallet again, MetaMask. And then this is going to be your dashboard. Now you can see I've got some, let's see when it loads. This is the contract address. I've got some available start bonus to claim. Only 17 million just because it's a dummy wallet. It's a test wallet, all right? I could batch claim all that just by clicking this button. And remember, that's the start bonus. So you mint 25% at the beginning and then 75% at the end of your stake, with the caveat that it's got to be over 180 days. It's got to be a 6-month stake minimum. All right. Now, if you want to learn more, go in the Telegram. But I'm just going to tell you guys right now what I'm seeing right here is let's try to calculate the price of a HEX share. All right. So I'm going to do the math here. All right. On the price of one HEX T share. And we're just going to convert this into US dollars. All right. So remember, we're talking about one share because a Com coin is worth one individual share. We're just going to calculate, the theoretical rate of how high this could go based on what it was designed to do, what it was supposed to be. It might take a long time to get there. It's not going to get there anytime soon, and it has a lot to do with liquidity. It has a lot to do with, who's got strong hands. Now, I feel like the Com coin itself is already in some pretty strong hands. There's already been somewhat of a price floor established. Go check out the chart. You can see that. We'll take a look in a minute. There's been a price floor established because the mintability on this, it's so hard to mint extreme amounts of it that could potentially hurt the price because it requires a very, very large stake to do so. It requires a lot of T shares to mint a lot of Com to hurt the price. And a lot of people, I believe, and I'm hoping right now, what it's looking like on the chart is that heavy selling has kind of slowed down. Now, there's always going to be the whale or the dolphin or the shark out there that could potentially just jeet out and decide to dump all their Com. But there is enough liquidity in certain liquidity pools, specifically on the FUX side of things, but on PulseX too. By tying HEX and Com liquidity together to absorb a lot of the Com dumping, people out there have established somewhat of a floor price, and it's even climbing a little bit. You can see right here, the floor used to be over here. Now the floor is up about, right at this line, and we've even seen it jump a little bit lately up to, we could have established a new floor potentially. Now, prices could easily come down from here. They could keep going up. They could come back down, all right? We're in this kind of zone where we're discovering what the price could be, but it has a lot to do with, again, liquidity. And the more liquidity is locked in the Com-HEX pairs at certain zones, it creates, that helps create the floor. Because no matter how many people are trying to dump Com down and turn it into HEX, they just can't dump past a certain point based on the mintability of this thing. The fact that it's already becoming so scarce. new stakers can't really, it's very, very hard to acquire enough money to mint enough COM to really hurt the price at this current point in time. That's the theory. Okay, and the theory also is that you could use COM as kind of a marketing tool and say, hey, look, if you want to make a HEX stake, you could get, with your COM start bonus, you could get like a 5% rebate back. Let's say you make a $1,000 HEX stake, but your COM is worth, $50. It's basically like saying, hey, if you make a HEX stake right now, that's worth, X number of shares, maximum length stake or whatever it takes to be attractive enough that COM minted back to you is attractive to you personally. You could use COM as a marketing tool to say, hey, look, if you were going to start a stake anyway, maybe this would further incentivize you to start that stake because, you get 25% of a start bonus in the form of COM. And let's say that COM is worth 5% of the total stake value. Well, you can then take that 5% value and you could either hold the COM or you could dump the COM and convert it into any other coin you want. Let's say you just want to go buy a meme coin with it or something. You could do that too because there's enough HEX COM liquidity that, the COM is connected to the HEX, which is connected to the, PLS and the rest of the ecosystem via liquidity. All right. Now, this plan is very theoretical right now. It's very early days. So people are just speculating on where this is going to go in probably years time, probably 1, 2, or 3 more years from now before this really takes off and people care. First of all, they have to care. Okay. Then they have to kind of understand the vague mechanism of how it works. But again, let's get back to the calculation. So 1 T-share, that's 1 trillion shares. So 31,909 HEX per T-share today divided by 1 trillion. All right. Billion, trillion. So that's going to give us 31,909 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zeros in front of it before the decimal, after the decimal. Then we're going to multiply this by the HEX price currently. Let's say the HEX price is 1.7 cents. We're just going to use that as a round number. Okay, so times 0.017, 1.7 cents. That means that a share today in dollar value is worth 0.0000000005424 dollars. Okay, this is the dollar value per share, not T-share, per individual share. Remember, because the T-share rate is 1 trillion shares, so obviously for a single tiny little share, it's going to be a very, very small USD value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 zeros and a 542. Okay, 9 zeros and 542. Remember this number. We're going to go look at what COM is trading for today. Currently, it's 10 zeros and a 487. So if we want to do a quick ratio on that, we can cut out the zeros in front, and that's like saying, what is this price of COM currently out of, the price of COM theoretically in like the ceiling price? 4870. We could do 4870. We're just going to cut out the zeros here, divided by 54245. Okay, because there's one less zero on the actual share price. If we divide these two numbers, we could see that currently the price of COM is at about only 8 or 9% of where it could possibly be. So in order to get this at a 1-to-1, how many more X's would this have to be? And we could also go look on the chart over here. So currently what I'm saying right now is that the price of COM is only about 9% of its full potential if it were to actually match a T-share one day, if it were to actually get parity with the price of an individual share. But now it's easier to just go find that number on a chart, right? Remember, the price today is at 10 zeros, 487. But the ideal price of a current share currently is it was actually 9 zeros, 5424. Okay. So I got as close as I could on the chart here. And I'm just drawing a line, a simple line from the price now, currently today, all the way to the price up at what the price would be. Remember, if this was actually worth 1 share. If COM was worth 1 share, the price would be 1,116% higher. So that is, an 11, let's call that a 12x from current prices. For example, if we multiply this number by 11.5x. Yeah, see, so about 11.5x from here, we would get a 1-to-1 ratio. So that's what we'd be looking for. That's how we get the price of COM currently to match, the price of the theoretical COM price of 1 share. Now, is the market going to agree with that? Not initially, but maybe one day. That's what people are speculating on. That's why people think that this might have a lot of upwards potential to go. But again, it requires people to actually care. The market may or may not care at this point in time. I think in the bull market, people are definitely going to start to care more as they get more speculative and more interested. In the last bull market, when things were hot and frothy and everybody was all interested in crypto, people were getting really deep in the weeds and they were getting really interested in the technical complexities. The complex stuff like Hedron and Acosa. People do not care about that in bear market, especially after being in prolonged bear markets for a long, long time. people just lose less and less faith in crypto as a whole. People just don't care. And then they just evolve into like dog with hat, And that's where we're at today. So we're at this cusp of people are starting to care about the technicals again, the complexities and, the DeFi, but we still have a lot of meme coinery and a lot of stuff going on, a lot of just fun and games, casino kind of mindset. And we're kind of in this mix of both. It's probably going to be that way for forever, honestly, because there's always going to be some segment that drifts more towards meme coins and then some segment that cares about, what's actually like the technical complex stuff. But a lot of people just want to know the simple value prop, which is what I'm telling you for COM right now. That is how I'm getting, 11.5, maybe a 12x from here could potentially be the ceiling price. So again, one more time, if communists, all right, if some people say communists, if it's really supposed to be a tokenized share, if the price of communists really does track an individual share and the price of an individual share is 9 zeros and a 5424, the current price is 10 zeros, 4765. So we'd have to knock a zero off and then get a little bit higher than that. So we go a little bit over a 10x to theoretically match the price in USD of one actual HEX share in the share system. A lot of people don't even want to take the time out of the day to understand HEX shares. I get it. That's fine. I'm just giving you the synopsis, right? This is the cliff notes. If you don't want to take the time to even care about what shares are, well, I mean, you probably should understand HEX staking and HEX share system and all that. But that is the value prop for COM. And people are also theorizing that if you market COM as, a coupon for HEX stakers, if they can get some of their HEX stake value back immediately in the form of the COM start bonus, and if the COM price was a lot higher than it is today, and if the liquidity was placed at certain levels, well, the fact that COM is getting scarce and it's the supply is dwindling away asymptotically, meaning it's just getting harder and harder to mint, and it's already theoretically in some pretty strong hands. It's not to say anyone can't dump it really, really hard like tomorrow, right? Or after me making this video, some guy might just decide to dump it because they're trying to play, a short-term trading game. But because it's in strong hands, because it is very scarce, and because liquidity is locked at certain levels, especially on the FUX. I know liquidity looks small here. There's a lot more over on FUX.io, okay? And then, DEX Screener doesn't account for that particular DEX because it's like a more complicated DEX. But, it seems like the floor has been established somewhere around here at least. So what are you going to do personally? Look, if you are speculating on it going to the parity of the price of one HEX share in the future, know that it could be a very long-term thing. It could take years for people to realize what this is and for people to understand this and just for it to become the norm. Kind of like Hedron. A lot of people hated Hedron at first. They were like, new thing bad, right? And they were all wondering whether or not Hedron was good or bad for the ecosystem. Now it's just a fact of life, right? COM has been around for over a year now, and people have just kind of slept on it, myself included. I kind of wrote it off. I forgot to mint it for a long time. But you've got a different group of people now that's getting behind this coin and kind of driving the narrative, driving the value prop, and explaining that, look, if we do this set of things, and if we market it like a coupon, which it is, right? If you want to stake HEX, let's say you stake $1,000 worth of HEX, but you immediately get $100 back in the form of COM coin, that might make it more attractive for some people to stake HEX, right? Because they can say, well, I get a free $100 coupon. With that, I can go buy, PDAI or whatever, go into some other cool thing that's in Pulse Chain. But it also takes a lot of whales agreeing not to sell. Now, the good thing about COM is that the people that can mint the most of it are also the longest term HEX stakers, the maximum length, high quantity, whales and sharks and HEX. And a lot of the whales and sharks with paper hands, with lettuce, soy boy hands, a lot of them have had a lot of time to dump. And we see that happening all around this area here, even all the way back here. There was a lot of people just dumping COM because they were like, oh, look, I have this free token. They didn't understand anything about it. And that's understandable. I didn't understand anything about it. But now I understand that there is a potential narrative here over the next couple of years. So I'm not selling mine. I haven't sold mine. I'm just accumulating it. I'm actually accumulating. I bought a couple $100. I bought a few trillion COM, right? That's like a few T-shares worth of COM. And in the future, if the market realizes what I think this could do, which is, 11, 12x at least, again, not going to happen overnight. So don't look at this like a trading thing, but something to keep an eye on if you're interested in HEX already, and if you're interested in the long-term potential. Because again, it looks like a lot of whales could have potentially dumped already. Not saying that, there's no whales left. Somebody could always wreck the price, but the way the liquidity is set up right now is that it can absorb a lot of the sell pressure from, especially from newer people that are trying to hurt the price. It's very hard for somebody new to actually hurt the price of this. The people you got to worry about are the original stakers. But again, it's been out for over a year now, and they haven't really been able to hurt the price past, this floor level. And the floor seems to be rising. I don't want to speak too soon, but this could be a new price floor over here. And based on the liquidity, if some whales were to get together and just agree to set the liquidity at, a COM HEX ratio of like right around this USD price, for example, 10 zeros and a 2, it would be very, very hard even for the other paper-handed whales to dump past, the diamond-handed whales liquidity pools. So any whales out there that want to play this game, this is maybe a nod to you guys. If you've got some COM and you've got some HEX and you want to pair it together, right? Go in the Telegram channel. Go in the Telegram channel and strategize how to set the price floor so that this thing can keep ratcheting up and keep on being a potential, marketing tool to market HEX as, hey, by the way, you also get a free coupon every time you stake your HEX long term. So look, in theory, guys, one more time, there could be a 10, 11, 12x on the table. Overnight, absolutely not. It's going to take potentially months and years for this thing to come to fruition, if it does at all. It's a gamble like everything else. I just wanted you to explain my understanding of COM, and I probably still have more to learn about it. I probably still have more to uncover, but that's where we're at this current point in time. I don't think it's worth writing off, but if you do have a whole bunch of COM sitting around and you don't believe in the narrative, then go ahead and sell it, right? The sooner you sell it, the sooner we can establish further price floors and keep ratcheting up to this theoretical, 10, 12x from here. And the sooner we can get on with the whole marketing narrative of, using this as another attractive way to entice people to stake their HEX by getting some money back initially. So there you have it, guys. For long-term HEX stakers, go to getcomcoin.com. That's getcomcoin.com. Mint your free COM if you haven't already. All right, you get 25 at the start, 25% at the start, 75% at the end. Price should ideally track the price of one HEX share. Okay, and there's also something to be said about ECOM, PCOM. Now, nobody's provided almost any liquidity on here, but you can see the ratios at 0.7 to 1, meaning ECOM is worth 70% of a COM. It would be interesting to see, ECOM, PCOM parity as well. This is even more of an advanced thing for people like, if people decide to care about pairing these two together, there could be something to be done about that over there as well. So guys, if you learned anything valuable, like the video, subscribe, share, leave a comment. It helps HEX, Pulse Chain, PulseX go viral. And if you're brand new to crypto, I've got a course teaching you everything from zero to hero. Give you the confidence to do crypto the right way. That's hexpassiveincome.com. Link in description below. I will see you all on the next video.